it's which it's not so bad now. Lean forward. Oh God. Right. Okay. TikTok has broken. I have broken TikTok. Obviously, too many people logging in. Server can't take it. When you get an influencer of my level doing a live, okay, I don't know why this comes up on TikTok. I have no interest in that, and I hasten to add I do not use TikTok as a consumer. I don't know why I'm hastening to add that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but for some reason, every week when I log in, I get these people dancing. I don't know if it's the same people or if it's resume or if it's different ones. And I think the reason that TikTok keeps on quitting is because it's an old iPad. And I know what you're thinking. A man of this caliber, an influencer of this caliber, should buy a new iPad. Fair point. But I only use it for TikTok, or at least I only use it for doing this live and on TikTok and for playing Clash of Clans. That's the only reason I use this iPad. So I haven't bought a new one, but there it is. Yeah, you heard it there first. So given that we're not playing Clash of Clans, we must be doing the Q&A because the iPad is out. So if you've got any Qs, then get in the queue and you may get an A from me. Well, you almost certainly will get an A from me. Whether it's the A you want, whether I'll know what the A is another thing, but I will give you my best A that I possibly can. So having said that, I am not holding my breath to anyone ask a question because I think there might be quite a prolonged silence. So in order to avoid that, I have got some questions that have been asked of me in the week. Thank goodness. So the first question that is asked of me goes a little bit something like this. Can you remove a C-section overhang? Yes, I can. So it's quite common to have this deformity is a bit of a bad word, isn't it? Or this problem. So people have a little bit of fullness in their abdomen. By definition, they have had a child because they've got a cesarean section, at least one. So the skin of the abdomen has been stretched, and so the skin has lost some of its elasticity, and that combined with the fact that sometimes the cesarean section scar is a bit pulled in, a bit tethered, both of those things can kind of accentuate the defect, and it can make it look like you've got a bulge above your cesarean section scar, when in fact you might not actually be overweight or have a bulge there. It's just kind of augmented. I don't think that's the right word. There is a word, but anyway, can't think of it right now. It's have I said accentuated already? I'm going to use it again. Okay, sue me. I'm going to use accentuated again. It's accentuated by the fact that the scar can be tethered, pulled in. So when the scar's pulled in, got a bit of laxity above it, you get that overhang, which people don't like, and they're often quite fit people who are looking after their figure, etc. And it's really annoying that they have that bulge above the cesarean section. And so that, yep, he's got adjustable arms. Yes, he has. That is an indication for at least a mini tuck. It's a good indication for a mini tummy tuck. I don't do that many mini tummy tucks, but that is a good indication for a mini tummy tuck, an overhang above a cesarean section scar in an otherwise kind of quite slim, trim individual. And so yeah, a mini tummy tuck would come in here. If you have got a bit more of an extensive skin laxity across your abdomen, especially if there's any laxity above your belly button, then you'd be looking at a full tummy tuck. So some form of tummy tuck, let's just put it that way, would be a way to address an overhang above a C-section, either a full or a mini tummy tuck. But it's quite a reasonably common presentation of people who are coming wanting tummy tucks, is that overhang above the C-section. So yeah. I am sure I've answered this before, but let's be honest, you guys, unless we haven't got Jackie here, so therefore I'm sure you have maybe you haven't heard the answer to this. Can areola reduction and inverted nipple correction be done at the same time? If I'm repeating myself, please let me know. If not, I shall answer the question presently. Okay, I'll answer the question. Yeah, it can. Areola reduction and inverted nipple correction. I've got to be honest, full disclosure, thinking about it, I don't think I've ever done it. But that's because I've never been presented with someone with it. If I was presented with someone with it, I think I would. I mean, the only thing you'd worry about is the vascularity to the nipple by doing a circumferential incision around the areola, doing the areola reduction. Would that affect the vascularity of the nipple when you're doing the inverted nipple correction? So that's one of the things you've got to be aware of when you're doing an inverted nipple correction, that you can affect the vascularity of the nipple. And so I guess that would be the only thing. But having said that, I think it would be fine. And as I say, I've never done it, but if I met someone who, well, presumably the person's are. In fact, I've already answered this question a while ago. It's probably a few years ago now. So that person obviously didn't come to surgery. Otherwise, I would have done it. So yeah. It's in principle, yeah, you can, but I guess I would have to see the patient and maybe think, when I've got the patient in front of me, of a reason why I wouldn't be able to do that. But I would imagine on general terms, the answer to that one is yes. What is considered too big to have a tattoo to be surgically removed? This is a patient who got in touch a few days ago, the weekend, was it? With a big tattoo, and I said it's too big, and they said, why is it too big? And so yeah, I mean, basically it is a bit subjective, really. There is not a answer as to what makes the tattoo too big. I can't say if it's bigger than this or that, then it's too big. Although one of the very kind of broad markers is if something's bigger than a 50p piece. If it's bigger than a 50p piece, it's going to be difficult to close. That doesn't mean it's too big to be surgically removed. It just means it's going to be difficult to stitch together. So if it is bigger than a 50p piece, then you might be in the realm of a serial excision. Doesn't mean it's too big to be excised. A serial excision might be a goer in terms of the minimum width. So if there's a long dimension and a short, it's the shortest dimension, if that makes sense. So oblong things, as long as the width of the oblong is less than a 50p piece. But if it's more, as I say, it might still be a goer. So that's, I guess, one sort of objective measure, although not particularly scientific. But a lot of it is kind of like what I think I might be able to do, kind of thing. So it's not very like, I can't say this or that. So this patient had it was on the back, and the whole of the back going down to the thigh. So it was just too extensive, and trading all that in for a scar wouldn't be great. It was kind of linear, which made it favorable in terms of that respect, but it was just way too big. There was many reasons why that one was not an option. Not least if you're going to do it under local anesthetic, there's a maximum amount of local anesthetic you can give. So you can't do you can't excise a whole area of the body under local anesthetic. Now you might say, okay, well then just do a general. Yeah, fair enough. You can do a general. That's okay. That's solved that one. But that's one issue. As I say, if you have kind of like a linear tattoo, then that is in one respect favorable for tattoo excision, because it might be long but it's thin, so that's favorable. But the problem is you will trade that in for a scar, and the scar will be kind of follow what the tattoo looks like. So if the tattoo is kind of like a curved line, you'll have a curved line scar. So really that's probably going to look worse than the tattoo. So you're converting a curvy tattoo that you don't like, a curvy line tattoo you don't like, into a curvy line scar. And a lot of people say, "I don't want a scar, it's fine." I'm like, yeah, but a scar in the shape of the tattoo is not great. And lastly, in respect to this patient, yes, it was a curvy line, but there was areas where the curvy line turned into swirls, and those swirls were too wide. So those swirls would have needed serial excision. And they were asking, could part of it be done? And you're like, well, part of it could be done, but then you've got a tattoo leading into a scar. It's like, really, and I understand that people just want them off. I completely understand that because we do quite a lot of tattoos. So I do understand the mindset behind just wanting it gone. But sometimes we just have to say, look, I'm really sorry, it is not suitable for excision. I say sometimes, most of the times. I don't know if this makes you feel better, but the majority of tattoos that we get, we probably get at least one a day, more than, maybe 2 a day, maybe. And photos, that is, I would say 90%, maybe more than that, are not suitable. The vast majority are not suitable for surgical excision. So there's only a sort of small group. That's why we say, and that's why I can't say to you in kind of in strict terms what would make it too big. So that's why we say to people, send us a photo, and then I'll say, look, it's too big, or it's a goer, because really you need to see it. You need to see what part of the body it's in, how much skin laxity you've got. So people have got different levels of skin laxity. So each individual has got different levels of skin laxity, and obviously the dimensions of the tattoo. So those are the kind of the things that are a factor into the decision making. But it is kind of like a sort of personal decision, really, for the surgeon to say, look, I don't think this is going to be one that's possible to remove by excision. So just send us a photo and we'll say yay or nay. And yeah. Can you remove a tattoo using w-plasty and tissue releasing? Okay, well, let's do the easy part of that question, the tissue releasing, before the w-plasty. So tissue releasing is, yeah, I mean, you do a kind of, I guess that means undermining. So we would undermine sometimes, not all the time. You wouldn't want to undermine a huge amount because you've got to be careful of the vascularity of the wound, because you're often trying to close it under tension, because you're cutting a big bit of skin out. So that's quite common. W-plasty, what do you mean by w-plasty? Let me think. So you've got your jumping man flap, which is kind of sort of a w-plasty, or it's not, it's kind of a bit of a W with a line on it. You got your, sometimes if you're excising something in the lips, close to an area like a lip or an eyelid, you can make it into a W to make the ellipse smaller. So make it into 2 smaller ellipses. Rather than 1 big ellipse, you make it into a W. So maybe if the tattoo is close to something like a lip or an eyelid, but I don't know what. So basically, I guess what this question is saying: can you remove a tattoo using skin, manipulating the skin, kind of thing, which is what we as plastic surgeons do in terms of moving to. So w-plasties often, well, certainly z-plasties are involving local flaps, moving things around. So we do sometimes do that. I probably wouldn't do that specifically for a tattoo. I wouldn't be doing a local flap. I might be doing a w-plasty in order to shorten the ellipse, but yeah, if that's what you mean by w-plasty, of course. So yeah, and tissue releasing to a degree, but you've got to be careful undermining too much, because vascularity of the skin, because wound healing problems is an issue with tattoos, because by definition you're closing them tight. So yeah. Someone swallowed a medical textbook there. Can I have areola reduction if I have quite prominent veins on my nipples? Someone check me on this. Did we do this last? Was this last? Did we? Am I losing my mind? Have I just come back from the future? And I thought I'd done this already, but I haven't. I've actually traveled to the future and come back to now, and I'm sitting here saying, have I done this one already? When in fact, it was because I've come back from the past. So there's two options. That's one option. I've come back from the past, and I haven't done this before. Or I've answered this question. I feel like recently. I mean, like the what was the other one I thought I'd answered? The areola reduction and inverted nipple one. I think that was ages ago, like years ago. But I feel like this one was. But who knows? I might be losing my mind. I completely acknowledge there might be some mind loss. Some mind loss going on here. And nevertheless, we will not dwell on it because we're a professional outfit here, and what we do is we just soldier on and we answer the questions as they come, which I'm going to do presently. I've got a flash goal just to start on TikTok. It's asking me to start a flash goal. No idea what that means. 3 gifters send Rose. Oh, it's gone now. Three gifters send Rose to your live. Pin it to get more attention. Okay. 3 gifters send Rose to my live. So okay, I've pinned the flash goal. Absolutely no problem doing an areola reduction if there's prominent veins on the nipples or on your areola. So it's not uncommon to have prominent veins in that area, and absolutely fine. I mean, the only thing I would say, and I don't think this will be relevant for the areola, but I did have a patient who had a lipoma here and a vein like over the top of it, and he was like, "Oh, is that going to be a problem? This is a prominent vein." I'm like, "Look, it's not a problem at all, because we've got a diathermy machine which will sort of buzz any little blood vessels if we damage them." But the only thing I would say is, do you like that vein? Because I might damage it and I might buzz it and I might sort of cauterize it. So if you like the vein, I'd be like, oh, well, I might, if you like the vein, you have to accept that it might not have the vein post-op. But I don't think that's usually the case. I don't think that's why this patient is asking. But if that is why they're asking, because they like their prominent veins, I would say, look, I couldn't guarantee that I wouldn't damage them if they're crossing into the areola or around where I'd be making my incision. I may well damage them and cauterize them. So I couldn't guarantee you would still have them if that was the reason for the question. But more commonly, I don't think many people are particularly attached to their prominent veins around their areolas. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they are. But if it's just the fact that will it make the surgery difficult or something, no, it'll be fine. Sometimes you can see prominent veins. Sometimes there are veins underneath the skin you can't see, so we can adapt and address veins basically, because we've got a little thing that diathermy sort of cauterizes them. So no problemo. What is the solution for flat nipples? Well, a flat nipple is a not very bad version of an inverted nipple. So obviously an inverted nipple is kind of like a negative vector with a nipple kind of going in. A normal nipple is coming out, but on the way for a normal everted nipple going to an inverted nipple, there's going to be a time when it's a flat nipple, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it's a version of inverted nipple, if you like. And so what is the solution? Well, the first thing is, does it bother you? Obviously, if it doesn't bother you, there's no need to do anything. The second thing you've got to think about, is there anything behind the fact that the nipple has gone this way? Has it recently changed? Are there any symptoms? Have you got any lumps, any bumps, any issues? You've got to think, is there a breast cancer causing the nipple to invert or anything like that? pretty rare, to be fair, but it is a potential sign of breast cancer. But if it's just a kind of normal inverted nipple, which is caused by shortening of the milk ducts, then the solution for that would be either to try a non-surgical means in terms of the only one I know is the Nipplet suction device. I think that has cornered the market. I don't know if there are other versions of it, so I don't particularly, using brand name there, but there's a suction device you can use that you apply to the nipple, creates a negative pressure and helps to evert the nipple, helps to make the nipple more prominent. So that's something that would probably be the first thing to try, the first solution. And then the next solution, if that doesn't work, or sometimes it works, but it doesn't give a permanent or at least a long-lasting result. So if you wanted a more long-lasting result, the next option would be to do an operation, a minor procedure where we evert the nipple. So we would pull the nipple out basically and make the nipple more prominent, and put some stitches in to keep it out. So that would be the next solution for a flat nipple. As I say, a flat nipple we would probably treat the same way that we would treat an inverted nipple. It's just on the way to being inverted. Well, thank you one and all for the questions. As I say, it's a good job I didn't wait for anyone to ask a question on the Q&A, because I think we would have had a very different experience if that had happened. We'd have been sit here in silence. But if you have got a question and you don't want to ask live, I understand. Okay, I wouldn't myself probably, but you should put yourself forward more. That was a resolute. Well, was it actually? It was a thought of mine a while ago, but at these conferences and stuff, and I did actually a bit. I did put myself forward, but then I thought, you know what? Sometimes you think, you know what I mean. Just thought, but anyway, I understand there's a point. So if you want to just ask it like these people have asked it, I don't know how they've asked it. Just comment or comment basically, or call us, I suppose, or email us, or WhatsApp us. Anyway, if you've got any questions, we will congregate them. Is that a word? Congregate them. We will amalgamate them, put them together basically, and I'll do my level best to answer them. And if I can answer them only half as well as I've answered today's questions, I'll be a happy man, because I think we can all agree those questions today were answered quite comprehensively. So if you've got any questions, then fire away. But if not, just come back for the joy of seeing me answer other people's questions, which I don't think we can underestimate. So with that said, I will go and leave this place, and I suggest you do likewise. Don't do that scrolling thing. Just turn it off. Turn off the TV and go do something less boring instead. So I'll see you.